On the minds of voters all across Washington state, it's all about election integrity. And if we're ever going to turn Washington state at least purple, we need to get more people on the right engaged in our elections. Voter turnout is way too low. Someone who's trying to help is my next guest, Scott Presler, who is in town trying to get folks to not just trust the system, but give them reason to trust the system. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning.
So how has this trip gone so far? You're here for voter ID law, but not just that.
Yes, well, this is my first real adventure in Washington state, and much to the chagrin of the Democrats, I'm sure they had the force was disturbed as soon as I landed in Seattle. But I'm here because so many people, I think, feel hopeless and they feel disenchanted with our elections in a only vote by mail state, where a lot of people feel that there is fraud and only vote by mail. And so I'm trying to give people confidence in our elections again. And we know that Olympia is not going to act. We know that Ferguson is not going to act. And we know the Democrats are happy with how things are. So the only way that we can create real positive change is by collecting signatures to force either the legislators in Olympia to act, or we'll force it on the November 2026 ballot. And so I encourage everyone to sign the petition to get proof of citizenship in order to register to vote in beautiful Washington state.
So how would that work in a vote by mail state?
Sure. Well, Jim Walsh, the representative who I've been traveling around the whole state, he says that not only is it going to act to make sure that people that are getting registered to vote have that proof of residency, but it will also work almost a little bit retroactively, and that it's going to be an auditing of the rolls even going into the future when people re-register to vote, when they get their driver's license, etc. And so that would be the coolest component of this, is it's not only for the future, but it will help to audit our rolls as
And
well.
it's pretty basic of just wanting to show that you are a resident of Washington state. It is remarkable how the left has been able to pivot on this one issue and pretend that everything is 100% on the up and up, and there's not even the possibility of fraud.
Yes, well, and some people are saying, but Scott, you already have to be a citizen when you register. Certainly you have to check that you're a citizen, but that's very much the honor code. And so what I'm hearing from Democrats, or even some people who may not be happy about this, is they're saying, well, it's already the law. Well, if it's already the law and you're not mad about that, then shouldn't you be celebrating our democratic work, going across the state to engage with voters and provide more choices on the ballot for them to be heard democratically? And so really, I say this is what democracy looks like.
It is what democracy looks like. One of the issues that you no doubt have already heard from or experienced is that there are a lot of Republicans who assume that the system is completely corrupted and that there is nothing that can be done in order to win elections, which is a very self-defeating attitude for Republicans to take. There's clearly instances of fraud that we can all point to. But the system itself, we're not seeing stolen elections. We're just seeing Republicans who choose not to vote, assuming an election is going to be stolen. And what do they need to steal an election for if people aren't actually voting?
Well, my main message in being here is I want to give people hope, and I want to drive people power. So again, if Olympia is not going to act, if Congress is not going to act, this is your best opportunity. To anybody that's watching this, please go to wagop.org and you can download the petition. You can print it off yourself, sign it, get your family to sign it, and then mail it to the Washington GOP office. You don't have to wait for me to come to your area in order to sign it. You can do this yourself. So to anyone that since 2020 or even before that has been really wanting and demanding election integrity, this is your opportunity. We're handing it to you on a silver platter, but I need your help. And I'm going to Oregon. We're going to collect signatures to end automatic vote by mail. I'm going to California. We're collecting signatures to get voter ID. And so I want my time here to be a reflection on if the people want change, well, it's got to come from you, Washingtonians.
Well, what are some of the lessons you've learned as you've toured the country? And obviously, you were really active during this last presidential election.
Yes.
Pennsylvania was a really big effort on your part and the Republican Party as a whole. But you were able to really, truly move the needle. What did you learn there that you're taking to places like Washington?
The biggest challenge in 2024 was making people believe that we could win. And I'm going to say, I'm not afraid of saying it, the 2020 election was stolen. And what we learned from that is it disenchanted a lot of people and they felt so hopeless. And so here I am traveling, barnstorming the country, going into Pennsylvania, and I really am trying to bang on every door to get them to turn out. And so the language we were using was make the election too big to rig and beat the cheat. And so, guys, we won. Donald Trump won the popular vote. And it was Washingtonians that helped deliver the popular vote for President Trump. And so we've already proven ourselves. We are winners. We won. But now my biggest obstacle and hardship is getting every beautiful Trumper to come out in every single election to vote. And I want to hearken to a second to Oregon. I don't know you guys as well. I'm a little ignorant of your state, and I'm not afraid to say that I'm a neophyte when it comes to the West Coast. But Christine Drazan was running for governor in 2022 in Oregon, and she lost her election by 62,000 votes. We had 126 Oregonian registered Republicans that did not vote in that election. Now, here's what makes elections on the West Coast more insidious for Republican turnout. Every Republican receives a mail-in ballot in all 3 states, whether or not you have requested a mail-in ballot. What does that mean? That means that Christine Drazan had 126,000 registered Oregonian Republicans that received their mail-in ballot, that didn't fill it out, didn't walk 10 feet to their mailbox, and didn't have a Republican activist like me knocking on their door to ballot harvest. And so I think ultimately my message, in addition to the election integrity component of the petition that I need everybody to sign, wagop.org, is I need more people to become a part of the process in becoming a precinct captain or committee officer, becoming a cog in the machine of we need door knockers, we need bodies, we need postcard writers, we need people like me out registering voters. And those are the things required to win elections and change states from blue even to a shade of purple.
You used 2 words that I think some Republicans thought were bad words, ballot harvesting, which is not illegal. And I wish people would understand that. And it isn't a big piece of the issues that Republicans have been having is that we allowed Democrats to do all of these legal mechanisms to encourage the vote, and we just chose not to.
Correct. Guys, we are our own worst enemy, and I say that so much with love. Here's a couple of takeaways that I want Republicans to have. Now, I get it. I understand. The number one thing that people have said to me in my 2 days since I've been here is, you give me hope. They feel so hopeless. They feel so browbeaten. They feel like the Democrats are just in control and they can do nothing about it. Well, in Pennsylvania, we have turned a state that had 1.2 million more registered Democrats than Republicans. We are 61,000 active voters away from flipping Pennsylvania from blue to red. And guys, we have Philly. That's your Seattle. We have Pittsburgh. That's your Tacoma. And it was red rural America and winning 20% of Philly and 40% of Pittsburgh that we delivered the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So you guys can do it too. So I say fight fire with a gosh darn flamethrower. And in fact, to my beautiful people, California Republicans started ballot harvesting. Then they started winning. And they flipped seats in Orange County from blue to red because they played the game.
And by the way, ballot, for people who don't know, ballot harvesting is literally just collecting ballots and then dropping them off, essentially. Now, there's you want to be sure you're not just giving it to anyone. It's part of, activist groups. It's usually local parties that will do some of this kind of work. But that's all it is. This is not even controversial.
No, this is me knocking on your door and saying, hey, did you get your ballot? Yes, I did. Okay, why don't you go fill it out? And listen, here's my name. I'm Scott Presler. Here's my ID. Let me show you who I am. You can Google me, whatever, and I'll turn it in for you. Again, this is a real opportunity because, as I've said, a lot of people are so disenchanted with the process. They're probably going to be more than likely to give you their ballot because they're not going to vote anyway. So go harvest those votes. And Republicans, if you get so good at ballot harvesting that you start winning elections, the Democrats are going to want to ban ballot harvesting because Republicans finally played the game. But until you do, we will continue to have Democrats in Olympia.
How much of the resistance to this is a self-inflicted wound? Republicans have not only have they been negative on ballot harvesting, but mail-in voting as well. As much as I understand why people maybe don't trust mail-in ballot, we're not getting rid of it in Washington state. It's not going away. It's just the reality.
Unless Republicans nuke the filibuster, mail-in ballots are not going anywhere. It's done. 2026, here's my message. Use mail-in ballots or lose the House. Use mail-in ballots and vote early, or Donald Trump is going to be impeached, period. Point blank. If you love our president, play the game in order to win. And in Pennsylvania, we just got clobbered. We had a historic turnout for Republicans. So 2021, 1.3 million voters for GOP came out. The reason why I'm using special years is because like municipal to municipal, as opposed to a presidential. 2021, 1.3, 2025, 1.4, 2025, 1.5. We are getting out good numbers for GOP. It just so happens the Democrats got out 2 million to our 1.5. Now, let's go over the numbers for a second. Democrats requested 700,000 mail-in ballots. Republicans requested 272,000. What did we lose by? Pretty much the same number of mail-in ballots that were requested, because the Democrats pretty much came toe-to-toe to us when it came to Election Day. So again, the number, the science, the data all reflects, and I want to touch on this point too for a second. Who is the Republican Party now? The Democrats are your elite. The Democrats are your uber wealthy. The Democrats are your educators and your institutions. What are Republicans? We are now working class America. We are doctors and nurses and pilots and flight attendants and moms and dads and construction workers and union workers. We're working 12-hour shifts on behalf of the American people. And so, to every truck driver, if you don't vote by mail or vote early, how are you locking your vote? If you're a flight attendant and your trip gets delayed from Florida over here to Washington, how are you going to vote if you wait until Election Day? If you're a mom with 10 kids, which I hope you do have and I hope you procreate, then how are you going to take care of voting if your kids get ill or sick or you got to go to the hospital? We must provide alternatives for working class conservatives to vote, or we will lose elections like Oregon in 2022.
Did the Scott Presler of 7 years ago have an inkling that this is what he would be doing now?
Oh my gosh. If you ever thought, if you thought that I would be traveling all across the country, registering voters, picking up trash, and in fact, it's surreal. After the 2024 election, I was invited to the White House, which, yes, was the coolest moment of my life. And I'm in the Oval Office with Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and other members of the cabinet. And it was very cool because I got to see my work on the ground locally, helping to deliver the president and the realization that, yes, local action can deliver national realization. It was a wonderful thing to see.
Well, and it got attention. Usually work on the ground does not get a whole lot of attention to the top of a national ticket.
Yes.
But it did get a lot of attention because it was actually successful.
Well, we need to make it fun. And this isn't the Scott Presler show. I'm not here to pat myself on the back, but I believe in leading by example. And I believe in showing the way. So even something really stupid like I was at Safeway and I'm just walking around getting food, just trying to nourish my body. And I have my citizenship form with me for the proof of residency for here in Washington. And a couple people stopped me. You're Scott Presler. Oh my gosh, you're here in Battleground, Washington. I saw you were doing an event. I said, are you a registered voter? I said, can I get your signature? And
You're always working, Scott.
well, I'm an Eagle Scout. An Eagle Scout is prepared.
Yep.
That's the motto. And just if Republicans were more diligent on taking all of our beliefs and values, like the Democrats wake up hungry to put into action their policies, which I think are dangerous. But they wake up wanting to take down Donald Trump. I wish Republicans woke up every day wanting to support our values.
Or just support this country. You know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you're a Trump supporter. What matters is that you're actually voting and you're getting more involved and you're doing everything you can to support the system and make it as secure as humanly possible. You're doing events tomorrow in Spokane Valley as well as Yakima. The day after, you're in Bellevue in the city of Kent. For anyone who wants to get more involved, what do they need to do?
Please, you can go to wagop.org again. And if you can't come to our events, which I hope that you do, because I want you to meet your tribe and I want you to get active locally. I know that you're here to see me, but I want to build an infrastructure even when I'm not here and I'm gone back to the East Coast. And you can download, print, sign, get everyone else you know to sign, and mail to the Washington State GOP headquarters. And you can go to my X account, which is at Scott Presler, and I have the entire list of events that I'm going to all across the Washington State.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. We wish you obviously the best of luck because our elections and our state, well, it's counting on people like you and everyone who's listening or watching to get out the vote. It's so incredibly important. So thank you so much for coming on.
No, my honor. Thank you for having me.
You are listening to and watching The Jason Rantz Show. Back with some quick hits right after this.